I brought with myself a notepad to really go over all the changes. As of making of this video, my Reddit posts on both the League subreddit and the main League subreddit and the Warwick main subreddit has blown the fuck up. And it is a big surprise because I did not post anything on Reddit for about 2 years. Even more than that. So, with that being said, let's start. I started off with a... So I have a little script I want to go off here. This little notepad I made. Basically, we'll go over all of these, yeah. But people think, yeah, that the Warwick changes that Warwick has received in this patch are complete buffs. And some of them are. So, the model size increase does not affect the hitbox. The hitbox got actually increased by, like, from 55 to 65 in patch 14.9. His attack range, because the model size increase, technically gets slightly bigger. Like, you know, Cho'Gath and Zac and champions like Malphite get increased attack range when they get bigger, but it's not that big a deal. So, that's kind of it. The W changes are horrendous. This is probably, like, my main issue here with this. But let's just go over this real quick. The mana cost and the cooldown going down are placebo buffs. They do nothing. The passive looks like it's just a buff, and it's smoothed out Warwick. It hasn't, and I will go over that soon in practice tool. Okay, bonuses from passive, 250 increase on enemies under 20% has been changed to 200% increase on enemies under 25. So the threshold has actually been buffed. You now get the, you know, increased attack speed and movement speed under enemies below 25 at the cost of it not being tripled and just being doubled. Takes twice as fast while no one is hunting into refunds 30% if no one is found by the active is, in my experience, actually kind of a nerf, because the 30% reduction is like kind of whatever, as it take down like half as fast. So it was like 50% before, so it hasn't really changed much. But maybe I'm just tripping. No longer locks out while casting in champion combat. This is a nice change when Warwick, you know, got hit and then he couldn't press W to get the attack speed from the singular target attacking him when they were at full health. This is a nice change, but the problem about it is that the attack speed has been buggy, and I'll explain it in a bit. Or maybe it's a feature and Riot's gonna go ahead and be like, no, this is all intended. And if it is, then fuck. Anyway, moving on. The auto attack lockout after casting your fear has been reduced from 0.5 to 0.25. What this change is another placebo buff, because Warwick E could get cancelled. The first animation of it, and you get the damage reduction, you can do whatever you want. But when you fear out, you can't do shite. You can auto attack, you cannot cast ult abilities or anything. You cannot cast any abilities, and you cannot use any item actives. And you could completely ignore this by pressing Q at the same time. But I'll get into that, why that is an issue later. Hit radius has confirmed my suspicion that it was actually Yasuo Q hitbox, because the width of Yasuo Q is actually 80. Warwick's was 100. So, like, yeah, it was 25% easier to land that Yasuo Q, but Yasuo Q is already the fucking hitbox of a toothpick, like the closest thing we have to a toothpick in this game. So I think it's fair for Warwick's all over the world for the past 7 years missing the ultimates. New claws in front now only latches onto champions in front of Warwick. This is a great change. This is a great change in theory, but the execution of it is horrendous, as I'll be going over now. I'll just switch this. Wrong thing. Okay, so people have been saying that, you know, Warwick doesn't need any, like, big buffs, and all the changes are fine, and every Warwick is just being stupid. Those are all the players that don't play Warwick, or have barely played Warwick in the past. So we'll just be going over the changes. And also, what I'll be bringing up now is that one of the changes to the W in PvE was that you would get the movement speed against targets below half and whatever, but it specified that it would be, or it didn't specify at all that it would be like just movement speed, like it does here. So before the tooltip was saying this was out of combat, and now it's just saying you gain movement speed towards, you know, champions and whatnot. This is the wrong tooltip. I have no idea how this even made it here, but this is the one from like the second work changes that they were planning to give out before they gave us this one. And yeah, it's just the wrong tooltip. It is literally lying to us. Right, this is actually lying to us. Anyway, now let me show you how the W works. Let me show you. So how the W now works is before if you hit an enemy champion that is already below half, you would get the attack speed. But with this one, you don't get it until the first auto attack goes off, and then you will get it. And the reason why this is such a big deal is this makes Warwick's landing on a turret, you know, hitting task minions, the first auto attack, it leaves him very vulnerable and it feels very clunky and off. And, you know, trading with champions and wave clearing has also become very, very stupid. And it's just stupidly annoying. So that's kind of it. Now the abilities also give you the attack speed. So let me show you. I Q here and I get the attack speed instantly. No need to like Q and then get another auto attack. I just get it. But this is not applicable to minions. So it has made Warwick wave clear both in the jungle and in the top lane just feel very off. The attack speed now lingers for 1 second, as you can see here. Like before, it lingered for like one auto attack, and you could like quickly switch and you know, hit them once. And then like there was this whole thing where you could like juggle the attack speed between a low target and a high target, where you could do something like this, but it would still like sometimes bug out, yeah. And now, if you just keep hitting, if you just hit once the low target and then switch on to this target, you actually get the attack speed for even free auto attacks, as you can see there, which is, you know, kind of nice in a way, but it's not a good trade-off. It is not a good trade-off at all, and I would really be happy if they just wrote this, because this is like my main issue. And then here comes my my second issue, my second biggest issue. Warwick E lockout has made a bug with Q happen more often than it has before. If you press Q while fearing out, as I've mentioned before, where it would like cancel the lockout animation, making you auto-attack instantly, now makes your Q act like a hold no matter how fast you tap it. About like, yeah, like this. So I am not holding down my Q there. You can try this in your practice tool. You can try it right now. It's still there. It still works. This bug used to happen a lot less often. Okay, this time I'm mistiming it. What the fuck? Good. Can you make me look good like I'm right? Thank you. Okay, there you go. Now I'm getting it off like... This is how you should be doing it to cancel the animation. I'm holding it as light as a feather, but you need to time it. Like, the same timing is literally the same timing as it used to be to cancel the E animation lockout with Q. And now if you do that, your Q acts like a hold, no matter what. Putting you in very bad situations, like when you didn't want to hold it, and enemy champion's like next to his turret, and you Q behind him, and then, you know, he just fucking kills you, or you follow some movement that you didn't want to move out of reflex. That's been happening to people like everywhere now. My fellow Warwick mains, my fellow friends who play Warwick, they hate this. They've noticed this also. It feels very bad and clunky. And yeah, so let's move on now. The Warwick R has now gotten a bigger hitbox. So as you can see here, this ultimate hits, because look how wide this is. Okay. Yeah, right above the hitbox. I still miss it. So it feels a lot nicer. It feels a lot nicer when you're flying through the air. But remember, they removed the hitbox from, you know, behind. You know, when they specified fronts in claws in the front. And if you get the champion in a way that is like right up your ass, right behind you, and you ult, you can Q literally through them. Like, it's not just the hitbox of, like, your Warwick tail, you know, behind you. It's also the one around you. But if you, like, do hit them, like, kind of on the, like, middle, if you have a cursor on them, you will hit them. You will hit them. Which, in a way, sounds like, oh, fucking Warwick players, right? They can't learn with skill shot. Well, here's the problem. This is a target dummy. Imagine a Gnar or a Teemo or literally any champion that has, like, lots of dashes and movement speed, and you're even slightly off in your movement, and they're, like, slightly here, and you press ulti, and you go flying somewhere else. I wanted Warwick R to make it so that people who were touching to my tail did not get hit when I ulted away. Now I'm directly inside of them with Ghost, and I'm literally not hitting them. Well, this time I hit them. Let's get right up in there. Yeah. And those are my main problems with the Warwick changes. Like, if they made it where we kept the hitbox around ourselves, but just make it a lot smaller, with the tail hitbox being, like, short, and, like, they can make it a circle, and then here at the back, it's like, shoo, you know how that makes sense? Like, Warwick hitbox had, like, a big circle around him, especially at the back for some reason. And now we got something in the middle where we didn't get, or we got something differently, something, like, extreme, an extreme solution. Instead of just ruining the shotgun hitbox at the back, back of the tail, we just removed it completely. Like, you can't hit people that are inside of you. Unless they're, like, slightly in front of you, and you hit them, like, you have the cursor directly on top of them. So, that's kind of it. I guess you could just, like, keep right next to them and then ulti. Which, I mean, I guess is kind of easier to do, but it's still, like, a nitpick that I would like to add. This pissed me off a lot at the start, but it's not that bad once I've kind of got used to it, but it can still fuck you. Anyway, those are the Warwick changes. Those are my main issues with it, and now let's move on to the next part. So I already brought it up at the beginning of this. My Reddit post has blown the fuck up, and I didn't expect it to blow up that much. So, as you can see here, hold on. As you can see here, this is the post I made on Warwick mains. It's the original one that is unedited and has received a lot of attention, a lot of upvotes, and, you know, people agreeing with these changes as being overall bad, while disagreeing with some other changes that, like, in their defense, I have made some, like, I have wrote things in a way that made people get confused, because I'm actually gonna bring this up from the beginning for people who read the Reddit post and just want to get on with it. The Warwick R, I made an example saying that it shouldn't get cancelled by the by any basic abilities, and I forgot to mention that I meant that this would only work on the champions that you were ulting, meaning that people in the comment section were, you know, rightfully saying in the comment threads that, you know, there's no counterplay to this, and you need to use, like, an ultimate ability. Like, Leona supporting anything team cannot save you from Warwick because she pressed Q. That would be stupid. I do not believe that. I am sorry. I did not mean to cause that much confusion. Yeah, we'll get back to this later, though. And I forgot to pull one other thing here. I'm gonna pull it up now. I'm gonna pull it up for later. Editor's note, we'll go over this later. You can cut this part out of me finding it because I'm ill-prepared. Where is it? Where is it at? There it is. Okay, so let me pull up my notepad here and let's start. Okay, so we already went through this. Through this. Oh yeah, wait, I forgot. Wait, no, not fully. So the Warwick main subreddit is on fire right now because Warwick W is actually absolutely going fucking ham. I wish I was joking, but nobody's happy with these changes, and there's, like, a lot of bugs that are happening and people memeing on Riot. So I'll just show this. Hold on, where is it at? Editor's note, skip a little bit forward of me finding these changes. Okay, so this one is the main one, but there are some that are also stupid. He gets it low with Q. It says he gets the attack speed, but he's attacking at the same pace. Then he gets built 25%, and he still gets no attack speed, even though it says he does. And then, strangely enough, what seems to be happening, I could be, like, wrong about this, but it seems like when he pressed Q again, his last auto attack went off a lot faster. Like a quick swipe, you know? Yeah, but basically, people are just clowning on these changes because, well, they feel so bad. They feel so clunky to play. And I don't think it's intentional. I cannot believe it being intentional. Might quit if VV's in fake. I mean, it just looks like I'm taking, like, all the, like, I'm just cherry picking here. There's, like, very few people that kind of like these changes, kinda, but most of them are negative. And that's really what I want to bring up. So, with that being said, let's bring up the notepad again and go over it, okay? So I just want to elaborate on my Reddit post a little bit because people really didn't have, like, an angle where I was coming from. People really misunderstood how I, what I was thinking when I was saying the things in my Reddit post, talking about, you know, Warwick being weak and every champion getting like 15,000 buffs, and, you know, champions like Fiora, recently Aurelia now, has gone like split push changes that made their passives or abilities work on turrets, making them incredible split pushers. Olaf and Ilau having incredible base stats. Warwick getting increased hitbox kind of fucked him because his design is to be like slippery because he has out of command move speed and shitty base stats. And, you know, I just want to like show where I'm coming from. So the only thing I believe holding Warwick top together right now are barrier abusers. And it has given him the wrong reputation. And I'll just go over these changes. I'll just show you what Warwick has gotten over the years, well, what every other champion has gotten over the years. Whether or not it's like a tank, a bruiser, or like something else. Basically, ever since Warwick release, we'll go way in the beginning. When his rework came out, he got increased base AD and armor, which like, he got a lot. He got a lot because at the time he was kind of, his base stats were way too bad, but they went a little bit overboard with the bonus attack damage. Then he got buffs in his health regen. It was low. Then a bunch of bug fixes. Then he got a nerf. Base attack damage reduced to by 3, which at the time made kind of no sense because he was broken before, and then he kind of like evened out. But fine, whatever. Healing percentage increased. And yeah, heal ratio increased. Bonus attack speed increased. Let's see here. Yeah, 80 ratio and AP ratio on passive because his passive just had base stats. You healed alpha base stats. This is why Warwick jungle tank was so broken at the time, because at the time these stats were pretty fucking good before everything got like 15 buffs and he fell off. Then he got, like, this is just to even the magic resist. Heal reduced. This was the durability update. We don't go over this. Everybody got this. We reduced healing. Cooldown reduced on W. Movement speed increased. And monster health cap damage increased. Warwick jungle a year ago was pathetic because of his wave clear being bad, in my opinion. Yeah, Warwick was just not a good jungler at all. Like, he couldn't gank as well as all the other characters. He didn't deal that much damage. He had some good sustain, but that's about it. And yeah, gameplay radius increased for some reason. We didn't even get a bigger model for like half a year now. We've been playing with a model that has very bullshit boxes, like stuff hitting us at the by tail hit us, which made it very frustrating to like dodge abilities because, you know, the model started to lie to us and we could not trust it. We had to like get a feel for it. Gran got all of these fucking amazing changes, even recently, where his W, that, you know, ability that gives him 3% natural resistances, a shield scaling with max HP and tenacity, also being on a fairly lower cooldown comparatively to all the shit he gives. It got a buff. His damage reduction got increased by double early game, but late game, 1 second. Yeah, because that matters. 80 ratio per spin increased. Yeah, cool. Garen needed this. And then over the years is just all of these fucking things. Oh yeah, maximum stacks increased. Oh no, but reduced. Okay, I see. This is just this was a, oh, this was a buff. Bug fix, bug save, movement speed duration changed more later. Like, most of these are just straight up buffs. Most of these are just straight up buffs because Garen players do not abuse barrier. Then there's Darius, who, you know, cannot fall behind 55% win rate at all times in all elos because that would be disastrous. And he keeps getting more and more buffs, even to his like bullshit abilities and his base stats, which are already fantastic comparatively to like every other champion, especially with how much fucking AD his passive gives him. Gnar, don't even, nah, Gnar is like Riot's favorite alongside Kennen and maybe like a Heimerdinger, because these champions only get buffs. They keep getting buffs and not small ones. Over the years, ever since Warwick's rework, Gnar has gotten, like, for every one buff Warwick has gotten, like 5 very good buffs, and even sometimes amazing. And I am salty about this. I am salty about this. I will not hide my saltiness and jealousy because I believe that is just borderline unfair. AP ratio reduced because, you know, Kennen started to become a problem once we nerfed tenacity and buff everything on him. Who would have fucking thought? Yeah, just buffs, buffs, and buffs. And now we'll just get to the good part. The reason why I talked about Warwick base stats being shit because his hitbox was small, so he's slippery, and his move speed giving outcome and move speed, you know, just made the champion make sense and have counterplay to him, while also having tools for himself to use and, you know, rely on throughout the game. Meanwhile, champions like Illaoi, like, let's just compare this for a second. Let's just compare this for a little bit. Also, I am using the old wiki. I cannot be bothered to use the new one because not at the top of the Google search, and I'm just lazy. Plus, it's just kind of up to date anyway. It doesn't really matter. Warwick's base health, both early and late game, is just trash. Warwick's health regen, because of how much he heals, is trash, which I feel like is good. Like, they shouldn't change this. Warwick's armor being low and his magic resist being also pretty low doesn't make that much sense to me. Like, okay, magic resist from Illaoi is like the same, but she gets more health regen, more health, more mana, more attack damage, more armor, more everything, dude. More movement speed. Why does Illaoi need 350 movement speed, dude? Like, I get that she's a champion that doesn't have any mobility, but I think her W is kind of fine if she just buys like Iceborn or gets even low CDR. Plus, her tentacles do all the work for her anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Then there's Olaf, who makes absolutely no fucking sense to me. You might be thinking, oh, but Hornheim, his armor and MR is pretty low, even though his HP is on the higher side and his movement speed being 350, as mana being bigger and even health regen being bigger than Warwick's. Oh no, it's actually lower. Well, actually, Warwick's is lower early game, but late game is bigger than Olaf's. Okay. The thing about Olaf, though, is he gets bonus resistances from his ultimate. And these are not small. And he doesn't lose them when he ults anymore, which was something that, you know, Olaf had as like actual counterplay. It feels like every champion besides Warwick is having like counterplay removed. Like now, before, champions like Riven and Fiora, Aurelia were like oppressive top laners that could just very easily, you know, snowball into oblivion, but they had weak split pushing. Now they don't have that anymore. Darius and like champions like Darius and Gran have had like, you know, high base stats, high damage, but there were ways to outplay them. But now with all the buffs they received, it doesn't feel like it's there anymore. It's just you have to out bullshit them, which doesn't feel that great unless you pick barrier. Now when it comes to this change, I want to talk about this, right? Let me just get a notepad here. I gotta get organized here. Okay. So we went over this. What I'm scared of that will happen, why I'm bringing so much awareness to this, is because I am genuinely concerned that the same thing that has happened to LeBlanc and Rengar in the past will happen to Warwick. And I'll go over this right now. Like, this change. Back in Season 6, not Warwick, sorry. Rengar and LeBlanc have gone assassin changes, which has completely fucked them. And everybody who played that champion knew they were bad. But Riot, over the course of 2 years, have tried to balance them. Because they did one thing wrong on Rengar, where his Q was like an AoE swipe instead of being like a single target stabby move. So either Rengar one-shotted both single targets and, you know, multiple targets, or one-shot nobody. And Riot has just went around this and just buffed everything, like a bolus strike increased, a Q damage decreased, duration reduced on R. You know, they did a lot of changes. Over the course of 2 years, they did a lot to him to try to fix him. Until eventually they caved in after 2 years and went like, here's your stabby move back, we give up. Okay. And they did the same thing with LeBlanc, but I can't remember what exactly was the deal with her. I think she just felt off overall and it was just bad design. And, you know, same as Rengar, she got a mini rework that basically brought her back to what she was before they, again, did the Rengar treatment, like we just saw, where they tried so hard to, like, balance her out with changes and mini buffs and mini changes, like, whatever. So that's why I'm bringing so much awareness to this, because I don't want this shit to happen. I don't want to be stuck with these changes. I have played Warwicks for 7 years. I have dealt with all the clunkiness, and I know the champion through and through. Well, not currently, because he's a different champion, it feels like. The champion just feels very clunky to play, and I don't want to fucking learn these new W mechanics, because they're just bugged out of their mind. And some bugs are actually making a bigger comeback, and are being much more of an issue now. So, yeah, let's get on track here. So now we'll just go to the talking. So, I think Warwick jungle is fine. Warwick top is a problem, but it's not how you think. It's not the way you think it is. Warwick top is like a big fucking problem because people have started abusing barrier on him ever since his rework back in 2017, 7 years ago. And that has given this champion such a horrible reputation as an oppressive early game champion that doesn't scale and has incredible sustain early game. And, you know, you just can't win against him. And, you know, it just makes Warwick look like such a stupid, unhealthy champion. And people that do this also build early items like Bork and Titanic to, you know, just constantly win the laning phase every time. They only rely on laning phase. And then once they're out of it, they don't ever buy items that give utility like Strybreaker. They will never buy items that gives them split pushing, which makes them more nuanced and gives them a lot more opportunities to like have pressure on the map. They never do anything like that. They just take the early game items, and then people have, you know, unrealistic expectations of what Warwick can actually do. Like, if you don't build Bork early game, if you don't build for laning phase, if you don't go barrier, you cannot go into enemy jungle and 1v2 them. You cannot just immediately like heal half of your health by ulting a high HP target with your ultimate. You cannot just, you know, one-shot somebody with R unless you build Bork. And if you take that away, you start to realize that the champion is not even that good without these early game items. Basically, I just feel like Barrier has fucked it up. Barrier has fucked it up. And for people saying that Barrier, you know, makes sense on Warwick because he heals a lot when he's low, well, why don't Olaf players do it? Why is it that, you know, Olaf players after the rework, where his ultimate is now like forever if he keeps hitting stuff, why isn't that a thing? Why didn't anybody do that? Oh yeah, because, you know, right now content creators are not like so fucking wild with all the stupid shit being like, everybody back in the day was talking about about barrier top VV being the best thing ever and how you should play it and how there's nothing else better than this. Just build Bork and barrier. And that has stuck for too long, man. And we got to a point where now, because of that identity, Riot has been balancing him around that. He is an early game champion that doesn't scale, that doesn't split push, that falls off hard, cannot team fight, and, you know, just is overall fucking useless, and it's just very annoying to deal with early game. That is what I have a problem with. And in my opinion, if, like, all the Warwick players actually stop playing him a barrier, then the champion can become something more fun, something more healthier for the game, something where everyone, like, can win. It's not a lose-lose if you go with barrier and just win laning phase. It's actually going to make the game a lot better, and it's going to, you know, restore Warwick's reputation as being a stat checker, but not so cancerously annoying that you just cannot fight it early game. Now, the thing about the thing about this, yeah, how to buff Warwick, in my opinion, is when I made my Reddit post, people assumed immediately, which I want to clarify on, people assumed immediately that I want all of these buffs. I want all of them. And I have literally written in that I don't want all of these changes, you know, except for the bug fixes. That's it. Like, just fix Warwick bugs, and we're good to go. So these are all suggestions, and I'll be going over them, you know, one by one. So increase base MS from 335 movement speed to 340. Now, the thing about this is 7 years ago, it absolutely made sense. Even up to a recent point, like I'd say about 3 years ago, it made sense still. But after that, when every champion got like free dashes, incredible base stats, great like utility on their kits, it has gotten so much worse for Warwick to keep up with his opponents without getting permakited. If you're playing against somebody who knows what they're doing, it's gotten worse over time. And yeah, that's why I think this like would be nice to do. Actually, I'm gonna like add one more thing here. Increase base stats. So, increasing the base attack range, like, I don't know why. I feel like they should do, like, either one of these changes where they increase the base movement speed or attack range, because it feels so fucking bad to have 335 movement speed with 125 attack range as a single target out of combat movement speed piece of shit that has to build Swifties and strat every game, and even then it is easy to kite you. It is still easy to do. So, yeah. I don't think that this will be a bad change. I think that would be actually fine to buff top lane Warwick so that he would get even both of these. But that is where I draw the line. And even that, I think, would probably be too far. In my opinion, they should add either one of these changes and then, like, I don't know, maybe increase the armor or MR growth by a little bit. I don't want his early game to get affected that much. He should not get buffed early game. He should get, slightly better stats, base stats later on to the game, but not early. Increasing the base stats, we just talked about that. But the reason why I don't want the base stats to be like 80, and actually I'll add this, HP growth, is his AD is low for a reason. His AD needs to stay low because his passive gives him on-hit effects, and his Q applies on hit effects. His R applies on hit effects 3 times. His W gives him attack speed. So it all comes back to his, on-hit passive damage with passive. And if you give him more AD, you will make him fucking broken. You will make him unbalanceable if you do this. He is supposed to have lower AD. I'm fine with Warwick having one of the lowest ADs in the game comparatively to bruisers. He's like next to Riven, but yeah, that's kind of it. And HP growth is kind of obvious. You already heal enough. Like, come on. I don't want to increase his healing. I don't want to do any of that. Okay, so Q rework. I think I cracked the code on this. I think Warwick Q should result in a tap whenever you press it, like a normal ability. But if you hold Alt at the same time, it acts like a hold. This would make it so that the ability would be consistent, easy to balance, and probably to code as well. Because we already have like champions like Shaco LeBlanc who can control their clones by using Alt and then right-clicking. Like, it can happen. And for those people saying, but Hornlime, I can hear you asking, what about our thumbs that are on our space bars? You know, the one that makes us lock our screens to the place when we're not locked in all the time? To which I have to say, we are Warwick mains. We don't even know what that means. We play with screen lock all the fucking time. Like 99.9% of the time with very few exceptions. That would not be a bad change. We would be able to, our little Warwick brains would be able to handle that, okay? We'll be fine. Okay. Q deals AoE damage to monsters jungle wave clear. This is just one of the suggestions. I believe that Warwick jungle wave clear should be better, like a lot better, or not that a lot better, but just like compared to other junglers, because his wave clear is pathetic, especially now with his W working the way it is. And you know, so many champions just have him beat by wave clear that is kind of insane. Like, so many champions, even the smaller ones, can just completely out wave clear Warwick with ease. And Warwick is heavily dependent on Tiamat, which is a massive weakness that, you know, Riot has in the past tried to remove because they didn't want people to buy like items like Tiamat or Bami Cinder to wave clear well. Unless your name is Warwick, then you go buy Tiamat, with like an exception being like a Mumu, Sijuanu, who have to buy Bami Cinders, but even those guys have amazing wave clear. So yeah, E deals bonus damage to, wait, no, hold on. W movement speed doesn't drop below 80% of the max movement speed, so if hypothetically your W gave you 50% movement speed against the target below 50%, it should give you 10% at the lowest MS speed, with it ramping up to its original like it does now over 0.35 seconds. Yeah, and if the target drops below 20% with W giving you 150 MS, you gain 30 MS. So these are not the exact numbers, but this is how it should work in my opinion. This is not a bad change to have. If you make this change, you should not be making this change though. You should not be making this change. If you make this change, forget about the base movement speed increasing. Don't do both of these at the same time. You'll make Warwick too broken. It'll be too bad. It'll be a disaster. E, increased fear range. They literally buffed our E to have decreased lockout duration, which I've already talked about being a placebo buff that has made Warwick Q act like a hold when you tap it, which is just annoying. It went from like 5 to 10% of the time happening to 80 to 90% of the time happening. It's very bizarre. If you're gonna buff E, just increase the fear range, because sometimes it just feels very odd, especially now that you've increased the player model of Warwick and the hitbox of him. It is just very, very clunky in my opinion. Okay, I feel like I'm missing one. No, I wonder with this. Okay, hold on. Let's move on. E deals damage to monsters, either with active or new passive, maybe like Bami Cinder against monsters, but not too strong. I think this would be a great change. I feel like this would be better than the Q change, because it would give Warwick something like, I want it to be like something low. Like I would even settle for like 5 to like 10 to 25 to 15 to 20 to 25 per second damage to monsters, depending on how much you max it, so that early game it would help you a little bit, but later on it would help you a lot, because wave clear late game in the jungle gets really fucking bad unless you buy like lots of on-hit items. So that's kind of what I want to see. E deals damage to... Wait, no, I already won that one. R decreased mana cost at later levels from 100 all ranks to 50 to 100, 50, 0 at level 6, 11, and 16. I really want this change to happen because Warwick's mana costs are too fucking big for a champion that has shit mana growth and even worse mana regen. It is horrible that you can Q twice and then use the rest of your kit, and you're literally out of half of your fucking mana bar. In a team fight, that is crippling, by the way, because you will definitely use your Q a lot more than 2 times and your E a lot more than just once. But your E is not the issue. Your E just costs 40 mana. Your Q, you know, costs 90 mana. And I believe that this should happen so that it would not at all affect Warwick's in-lane mana growth, mana issues, because I believe that is important for Warwick to have mana issues anyways. He has already infinite sustain from minions. He should not get infinite mana too. That would be disastrous. What this change does, you know, or not change, is just how it is now, is it makes it so that maxing Q and going Prism Mine cripples you, so that you are only good at killing your lane opponent in short trades, and then eventually you just, you know, you kill them. You kill them while not losing that much mana, while being able to kill them with Q and not running out before they die. So they're either reliant on Presence of Mind or not maxing W, and that's kind of it. Okay. R cannot get cancelled by the person he is ulting by casting basic abilities, Q, W, E, but they'll be able to cancel them with their R abilities, like Gragas R, Lissandra, with exceptions of, like, of course, like Cassadin Q, which cancels channels, GP Orange and QSS, which was all CC, and, you know, Cassante W. I fucking hate Cassante, but it makes sense that his ability cancels my ultimate, because he's literally unstoppable during the channeling of his W, and he literally stuns people while he's dashing. It makes sense. As stupid as it is, it makes makes sense. I believe they should rework, you know, Cassante. I think they should actually remove him, in my opinion. But this is me. And now with that being said, let's move on to the bugs, which are really the main issues that were not addressed at all in the patch notes. The only thing that they added as being a bug is his ultimate hitting people in the back, which was not really a bug, but it was just an overcompensation where it was like a shotgun hitbox at the back, and you know, a shotgun hitbox at the back, and you know, around him it was like okay, mediocre. But for some reason, people could just touch the tip of your tail and get hit by it, which makes no sense. So Q acting like a tap when holding it, and vice versa. Again, the alt tab, if you hold alt, you should be able to like press Q and then it acts like a hold so that it's consistent and you don't need to do any stupid things with it. Like holding down fucking Q is just stupid. Holding down Q, bro, that is dumb. That is dumb because that is so hard to implement. Just holding down alt will make Warwick have so much more control over his character. The skill expression will rise because people sometimes on accident Q tap when they didn't want to and it works out, or vice versa, and they Q hold when they want to and it doesn't work, you know, and vice versa. So yeah, Q going on cooldown, not dealing any damage right when enemy targets walk in the bushes, might work with stealth instead of miss, not sure. Yeah, so this is actually really annoying and it's actually gotten worse over the years. Like there's people walking into bushes and this is the most annoying in like laning phase where everybody knows how to use bushes and your Q will straight up not deal damage and go on cooldown. It really sucks. So let's move on. Q sometimes getting affected by knockups while clearly being in the animation looking at you Jaced E. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like they should just change this because I hate getting fucking Jaced E knockback. And it made it worse ever since he got a root on his E, which is odd because Warwick Q ignores roots during the channel. And then once he's out of the animation, he stays root. Wait, I think I missed something. I think I forgot something here, no? Oh yeah, I forgot to add something, I think. Maybe it's in here? No, I forgot to add something. Oh, this! I hovered over, I went through this. Q damage goes off faster with more attack speed, tap and hold animations will remain the same. So, you know, it's not like his animations of Q would go faster, but him dealing damage with his Q would go by faster. That's kind of what I want, yeah? Because, you know, it is borderline better to just auto-attack somebody for damage than just to Q them. Because usually you would just get so much attack speed late game with max out W, your max W attack speed, level 18, and some items. It is borderline better to just Q to like get away or dodge abilities and whatnot. But yeah, okay, let's go back to the bugs. Sorry, we kind of got derailed here. Okay, Q sometimes getting affected by knockouts while clearly being in the animation. I think it's just stupid as fuck. Sometimes I actually get Malphite ulted or con W'd while I clearly am in my animation of queuing. It is very, very annoying. And it seems to happen like right at the beginning. Even when holding it and when tapping it, this seems to happen. Not that common though. It's a nitpick. It doesn't happen that often, but it does happen. W sometimes not getting MS when passive and active ever since 2014. I don't know what spaghetti happened. They didn't even touch Warwick, but for some reason, the W movement speed sometimes doesn't give you any movement speed against targets that are below the threshold, both on passive and active. You can literally get somebody below half, not get the attack speed, and not get the movement speed, and press W again on them, and you will still get nothing until you die or they get above half. It's very odd. And you know, W also since season 14 was not showing the locations of, you know, enemies that are recalling in bushes, entering stealth and invis, usually making the trail go about 200 units on front of Warwick and leading nowhere. And yeah, even Action W doesn't bug out this much. How did they get Action W and not the little apex predator wolf with a fucking nose that smells blood not have this ability to work? Come on, dude. If Action W works, you can make Warwick W work. Fix Warwick hitbox when queuing through targets so it actually hits people around instead of following your model with blade, thus making the fear not hit at all. Yeah, so for some reason, when you latch onto people with Q, you follow them with a delay, and your E follows you with an even bigger delay. So let's say that, look at my mouse cursor, yeah? Let's say that the champion is here. You're queuing him and you're over here. At the end of the Q and hold, you will be here. But currently you're just dragging your ass like kind of here over here. And your E gets dragged like all the way here, if that makes sense. Like you queue a guy that is walking here. Your Q is dragging, and so is your E. They bug fixed this like 5 years ago, but it's gotten worse over time again. Or maybe I'm just going insane. Maybe I am going insane, but I think it's still in the game because sometimes it just really looks weird and doesn't make sense, even in like replays. Okay, fix Warwick R so you don't just stand there for 1.5 seconds when a champion uses all F ult or kills us. Dude, I fucking hate this. I genuinely hate this. I don't understand why Warwick, you know, has to stand there as the person already can move, and you don't even deal extra damage to them anymore. You just stun yourself because they press QSS, Olaf ulti, or an orange. Like, I'll be so much happier if it both then cleansed me so I could get to hitting them instead of just standing there. Like, my ultimate is a fucking debuff at that point. It is actually worse to use it than to not use it. Fix Warwick's W attack speed for real this time. No need to use 2-man after getting a target real low to receive the bonus upon getting enemies below 50% and 20% right after, or pressing S and then clicking on it, or clicking on the ground and then on target. Okay, so this last part still works, but this was really the issue. Like, if they literally remove this, Warwick W attack speed would be perfect. Warwick W attack speed would be perfect, and everything would be red in the world. They didn't do this at all. They went with the changes that I went over at the start of the video. And this will be a video, by the way. You know, I'm sorry that I'm just... Editor's note, leave this out. I'm sorry that I'm not reading your guys' comments. I love you all. I'll get to the questions later. I would just like to go over this all at once so that the editor can have a good time, like, editing this. So, yeah. Once we wrap this up, it's over. Okay, Warwick E-Hitbox being really bad at fearing people behind Warwick. I'm not insane, everyone else is. I stand by this. For some reason, when there's an enemy that is right next to you, and an enemy that is right behind you, for some reason, the enemy that is next to you, or even in front of you, gets feared, but the guy behind you doesn't. Even though the fear went exactly on top of him, exactly through him, as he's clearly next to you. But, you know, maybe I am genuinely going insane. Maybe all the years of playing Warwick has fried my brain that everything that is happening to him that looks slightly weird but isn't, just like I'm getting like all conspiracy theory hats here. Maybe that's it. But yeah, anyway, these are my changes. I would love to talk to you guys about this in the YouTube comments and right now on Twitch, because I have this on, you know, my Twitch, because I streamed it. Well, obviously you guys are here. This is gonna sound good in the YouTube video. This is going to sound like I'm talking like a madman to myself, like not even acknowledging the people in my Twitch chat. But anyway, I'll get on with it. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Please, revert these changes, do something else, because this is just not it. Work has gotten clunkier, more buggy, and overall feels less satisfying to play. And with that being said, I would, you know, I'd like to thank all of you for watching this video, and I'll just be on my way. See ya.